CNN ran pieces saying, is it racist to criticize Chinese infiltration? Is it a hatred of Asians? What is that? If you're against health care, what does it have to do if you're against government-run Obamacare, government-run health care, what does it have to do with race? If you're for government-run health care, what's it have to do with race? If you're against it, they just inject it in there so everybody gets racially obsessed and looking over their shoulder and not trusting each other so the elites can divide and conquer us. So I don't think Chinese people are inherently bad people. Their government is corrupt and evil. I've said it many times. I don't think Italians are bad people. They're great people. But they do have Italian mafia. And there's also Jewish mafia that's very well organized and very dangerous. And there's Dixie mafia and WASP mafia that tends to team up in the last 200 years with Jewish mafia. And I'm against those mafias. But if you address something like Israel is the source of evil, and Israel stages false flags, and Israel does these evil things, and Israel invented evil, and only Israel can do it. And I see exaggeration. I see magical powers being attributed to Israel, and Israel's behind everything. And I see people make things up about me that are just entirely untrue, some of the most prominent anti-Israel people. And then it turns out a lot of them are actually federal agents in the case of Hal Turner and others. See, they don't want credible criticism of things that Israel does that are wrong. They want to make it racial or religious or bigoted so that it doesn't have a powerful effect, so that it isn't palatable to the general public, so that it isn't constructive. They want it to be destructive. And I'm not trying to be destructive here. I'm trying to be constructive so everyone can live in peace through knowledge and via understanding. But the truth is, I've studied government history. The Romans staged false flag attacks. The Babylonians staged false flag attacks. Israel stages false flag attacks. Our government does it. The Russians do it. The Tsars did it. The communists do it. The CIA in Vietnam did it. It's all declassified. They all do it. How? And people say, well, you're giving Israel cover, saying they all do it. No, I'm not. It's like every mammal species, I hate to get gross here, but every mammal species leaves droppings. You know, it's like all butterflies come from caterpillars that then become cocoons. I mean, all I do is try to state the facts. And so humans do evil things. Humans do bad things. Humans do manipulative things. And I'm trying to teach people the tricks that are used by humans. I mean, I guarantee for the big popular anti-Semitic movement that's out there that's, you know, for the last 3-4 years is you know, as popular as, you know, sliced bread, basically, and is pushed by a lot of different quarters out there. Let's say every Jew on earth was teleported to Pluto to freeze to death instantly. Freeze as hard as a rock in less than 1 second. Absolute zero. Would there be evil anymore? Would people still beat their kids? Would banks still be ripping people off? Would there still be wars? You better believe there still would be. And, you know, it's that cop-out. But let's say we had a global Hitlerian anti-Semitic government. After they'd killed every Jew on earth, what, 18 million Jews, they would start claiming other people were Jews. They would start saying, you know, that Jews were vampire bats that flapped around at night or something. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's a system of always blaming some other group, always blaming, you know, In Africa, every other tribe tries to enslave and kill the other tribe in warfare because that tribe is evil, and that tribe is wicked, and that tribe is manipulative, and that tribe does bad things. Well, the truth is, your tribe's doing evil things, that tribe's doing evil things. We need to have a war against evil. We need to have a war of knowledge so that the people do not perish. If you cut government, and you inform the general public about the way the world works, and you empower private property, and you empower strength and honor, you're not going to be able to have a corrupt government that is going to come to power no matter who's running it. No matter who is running that evil government, they're not. Look, it's because good people are doing nothing. That's why we're in so much trouble. There was a really nice lady who was at my daughter's birthday party over the weekend, and I'd heard about Lakeway, where she lives outside Austin, and why she's in the local homeschool group. And, you know, this nice middle-class lady, these were all, above average income is what I found with homeschoolers. And she talked about how at Lakeway they gave them forms, and we've got the forms, saying that, you know, under a red alert, your children will be taken to a FEMA facility, and that they have these drills where they turn the lights off and men come with masks into the rooms with guns and don't tell the kids it's a drill, and the kids get really traumatized. And her daughter came home and said, I'm not allowed to talk to you without permission from my teacher. Now, I already have mainstream news articles on this in triplicate. But I said, well, why don't you come on the air? And she called this morning and said, I'm scared. I don't want to use my real name. And I said, that's fine. You don't have to. Then she called again and said, I just don't want to do it, period. And I said, that's fine. I understand you're scared. But the point is, folks, that this is why we're going to lose, okay? Because I'm at this party, you know, the birthday party. We had it at my parents' because they've got a pool party. And there's all these nice, well-to-do, intelligent, professional families, doctors, accountants, lawyers, and they're all from different parts of Austin. And most of them hadn't even heard of my show. They're friends with my wife. And they would talk about how the kids come home crying when they use hot water, saying it's killing animals. Or when they see a development, they start crying. And this was lots of mothers and fathers. This is why they pulled them out. And how they were trained to hate the Second Amendment. And how, and I was having, it was every family. It was all the same horror stories. Now, I happen to have the Washington Post here from 4 years ago. No, this is 7 years ago. February 2003. Schools boost preparations for attack. Many anti-terror plans would stop parents from picking up children. Now, I happened to, in 98, even before Columbine, get video from Missouri. We put it up on the web. We have articles about it, where they would take the kids to FEMA camps in elementary school secretly and not even tell the parents that this was going on. So it doesn't matter if I have her form here and she told me. It's just to actually hear the mother would be informative. To actually hear how they were, in the first grade, her daughter was suddenly not talking to her. And I met her daughter, very sweet little smart little girl. The teachers were telling them, we are your boss. You have the California schools saying, we are the parents. You know, we now control your children. But I see these articles every day. You know, I mean, I know why they have federal grants for this, not just in public schools, and they're almost always with elementary because the kids can't tell what's real and what isn't. I've had teachers on where they come in and say, Minneapolis, announce, I'm going to kill you, have the kids and the teacher march out with their hands behind their heads, and then do simulated executions, not letting them know it was fake. This is just setting the precedent that the cops can do whatever they want, and they tell them, we're pro-Second Amendment, we're pro-homeschool, we're here to kill you in trauma-based mind control to create an aversion. What's an aversion? Let's say you got drunk once on gin. You smell gin, you don't want to drink it anymore because you got falling down drunk and threw up for 2 days. An aversion is, if a woman's been raped and tortured, that ruins normal, healthy sex for her. See, it's an aversion. It's like ring a bell, hit you in the head with a hammer. Pretty soon you ring a bell, people get scared, or you act like you're going to hit them, they flinch. they're creating an artificial aversion to the Second Amendment and homeschoolers. So I'll tell you about that when we get back. More of your calls. Stay with us.